Okay, we continue with operating work in progress in process costing. Okay, if we refer to the previous one, okay, at the end of the period, okay, when we close the accounts, okay, there is partly completed products. So that means partly completed product at the end of the period, the CWIP will be operating work in progress at the beginning of the next period. Okay, so let's see the example here. Okay, previously we are preparing in year 1. Okay, if we have process 1, we have to record all the costs in the debit side of process 1, material, labor and overhead. At the end of the period, okay, we have, okay, the completed products in P1 that we should transfer to P2 here. Okay, we transfer to P2 to further process. Example, when we produce the product, okay, the first process is printing. Okay, after printing, okay, finish process printing, we transfer to the next one will be binding process 2. Okay, and then at the end of the accounting period, okay, there is partly completed. That means it's CWIP that we have to further process. Maybe it's only 80% completed, so we have to further process another 20%. So when we want to further process that 20% for the next accounting period. So when we open the accounts for the next accounting period, the CWIP here, the closing work in progress will become opening work in progress. Okay. So in year 2, the uncompleted printing will continue, okay, again in process 1. That means in printing department to complete the balance another 20%. So we need another material, labor and overhead. Okay, at the end of the period, okay, the completed will transfer to P2. Okay, okay, P2 also the binding after we finish completed binding, okay, partly completed binding, so we have to continue the next accounting period. So from P1 here, year 2, okay, we need to further process for binding. Okay, you transfer from process 1, okay, to process 2. Okay, we need another material, labor and overhead. So at the end of the period, we have completed product. So that means after binding, we will have books, completed product, but there is partly completed, okay, binding. This is CWIP that we should continue to next year. Same goes to printing. When you do not complete the producing in printing, we have to continue printing in year 3. When you do not complete in year to the binding process, example here process 2, we have to continue the year 3. So basically today for OWIP we refer to the next accounting period. So previously we prepare year 1, that means the first year of operation, but now in year 2 we have the previous year operation where we have opening work in progress. So how we should treat this opening work in progress, since there is partly cost that we use from the last period and partly cost from the current period. Example, OWIP here, 80% we use cost in year 1, so another 20% cost in year 2. How we should treat this OWIP? So to treat this to the OWIP, okay, there are two alternative methods, okay, weighted average and first in, first out. So today we'll refer to weighted average. So what is a weighted average method? Okay, weighted average method assumes that units and value of OWIP are merged with the current period cost and the production to calculate the average cost per unit for the current period. So in this case, okay, if we refer to this one, okay, OWIP, 80% cost last year, 20% cost this year, current year, this is current year, okay. So they have two costs from the different period. We calculate the CPU is average, okay, the last year cost plus this year cost to get the average cost. So that's why we call it average cost, weighted average cost method. So the OWIP treated as part of current production. So this method ignores the fact that those units were partly complete in the previous period because we use the current CPU. So that's why OWIP loses its identity. So because we assume, okay, using the current CWIP. Okay, the effect of weighted average method is that both the closing in progress and completed units are valued using the same average unit cost. So this method useful when costs fluctuate from period to period. That means the cost of operation will fluctuate, okay, during the period. For OWIP, there is no need to find the degree to be completed in the statements of equivalence units. So when we prepare the statements of equivalent units, we do not have to calculate how many percent completed last period and this period for OWIP, since we use weighted average. That means we use the average for the current period. Okay, let's say we refer to the example. Okay, example 8. Okay, example 8, the question for example 8, the following data was recorded regarding process 2. Okay, so under process 2, we have OWIP 250 kg, 40% completed. OWIP 40% completed in previous year. Okay, so that means in the current year, you have to continue another 60%. So this 40% completed valued 5750. That means from 5750 OWIP, last period using using P1, okay, P1 2000, labor and, P1 is 3750, labor and overhead 2000. Okay, so unit received from P1 850 kg at 20,000 ringgit. Unit transferred to P2. So this is finished for P2. Okay, transferred to P3 875 kg. CWIP 225 kg at 50% complete. Labor and overhead cost for the period 16250. So this is both for labor and overhead. Labor plus overhead. Sometimes we call it conversion cost. Labor and overhead, sometimes we call it conversion cost. So you are required to prepare process 2 accounts and all relevant statements by using, okay, first we use average method. So that means in this case, we are in this area. Okay, in this area, you have to prepare the process to accounts. Okay, you have OWIP from the last period. Okay, you have previously transferred from P1, P2 transfer to P1. But the cost here is only for labor and overhead, no material added. Okay, so we have to transfer to the next process. So this process is not P3. So P2, this is P3. Okay, sorry. P3. Finished goods of P2 will transfer to P3. Okay, so refer to example. Okay. Okay, from the question, OWIP 250 kg. Okay, 250 kg here. Value at 5750. So value at 5750. Okay, and then other information is, okay, unit received from P1 850 kg at 21,000. Okay, from process 1 850 kg, okay, 25,000. Okay, and then unit transfer to P3. Transfer to P3, that means the output 875 kg. So transfer to P3 875 kg, but we do not know the value yet. Okay, and then CWIP 225 kg 50% complete. Okay, so uncompleted CWIP 225 kg, but the value we do not know yet. So how much the value here? Okay, so labor and overhead cost for the period is 16250. Okay, labor and overhead plus overhead is 16250. So this is the cost should be debit side. So in this question there is no material. So not the first process. Okay, after the first process, process 2 or process 3, they may not have the material. Okay, but they should have labor and overhead to transform the previous input, that means P1 into finished goods. Okay, now we have to total up the quantity column. Okay, 250, 850, we get 1100. Okay, and then the quantity credit side 875, 225, 1100. So that means in this case, no losses. Okay, no losses since the debit quantity and the credit quantity is same. Okay, if the question gives you the normal loss, you have to calculate the normal loss as usual. And then if the balance is, if the debit and credit not balanced, either you have abnormal loss, the balance here, or you have abnormal gain, the balance here. Okay, now how to get these two amount? Okay, how to get these two amounts? So as usual, we have to prepare the three statements. So what are the statements? The first one, statements of equivalent production. Okay, now we refer to column. How many columns we should record? Okay, so refer to the debit side of P2. So P2 we have OWIP, process 1, labor and overhead. OWIP is the balance brought down. So balance brought down is not the column. The column will be process 1. So that's why previous process 1. Column 2, labor and overhead. Labor and overhead. So we have two columns, refer to the debit side of process 2. OWIP is not a column because this is balance brought down. Okay, credit side. What we have in credit side, we have P3, we have CWIP. So that means we have two rows. So P3 should be the output for P2. So that means the finished goods. It's the P3. How many units? 875. So 875. Okay, and then we have CWIP. CWIP, how many units? 225. So 225. Okay, based on the question, okay, from the previous illustration, finished goods should be 100% complete. So 100% complete, that means all the columns should be 100%. So that's why here is 100%. Here is also 100%. So 100% times 875, we get 875. 100% times 875, we have 875. Okay, and then we refer to the previous process. What is previous process? Previous process, that means process before process 2. So that means process 1. So in order to produce in process 2, in order to transfer to process 2, process 1 should be completed. So that's why for the finished good, okay, this row should be 100% and this column for previous process should be 100%. So that's why this is also 100%. If there is not completed in P1, we cannot transfer to P2. Okay, example, if we do not complete printing, we cannot proceed to binding. So that's why previous process should be 100% completed. So even though the question do not give you the percentage, you have to remember finish good, okay, the horizontal should be 100%, 100% here, 100% here. Previous process, the vertical should be 100%, 100% here, 100% here. Okay, how about CWIP for labor and overhead? How many percent? Refer to the question. Okay, is 50% complete. So labor and overhead is 50%. So 100 times 225, you get 225. 50% times 225, we get 112.5. So total up, previous process 1100, labor and overhead 987.5. So finish equivalent production. Now we refer to the statements of cost. Okay, we have to remember, okay, as usual, refer to the previous statement. We have two columns here. So previous process column and also labor and overhead column. So how much the cost is? We have two types of cost. The current cost incurred and the opening work in progress from last period. Okay, from last period. So from last period OWIP, how much the cost incurred from the last period? Okay, we refer to the question OWIP, the total is 5750. Okay, from 5750, how much is previous process? How much is overhead, labor and overhead? So refer to the question. The total OWIP 5750. From 5750, 3750 for P1, labor and overhead 2000. Okay, so we we distribute the 5750 here to previous process 3750, labor overhead 2000. So if you plus these two, you should get 5750. So that one is the OWIP, the cost that incurred from the last period. Okay, cost incurred from this period. Okay, current cost incurred. How much? Previous process referred to here, 21,000. Okay, labor and overhead 16,250. So total up, you get the total cost for previous process 24750. Labor and overhead cost will be 18,250. So you total up the cost, then divide by equivalent production from statement number 1, 1,100. Labor and overhead 987.5. So you get the CPU here. Previous process 22.5, labor overhead 18.48, total is about 40.98. So statements of cost. Okay, now we have to prepare statements of evaluation to get the value of finished goods and CWIP. Okay, refer to the statement number 1, finished goods. So we have finished goods, process 3. We have CWIP, so we have CWIP here. Okay, how to get the value? Refer to the quantity. Finished goods 875 times CPU 22.5. So you get the value 19687.5. Same goes to labor and overhead. Quantity 875 times 18.48 that you get from the calculator, that a lot of figure from the calculator times 875, so you can round off to 2 decimal places here. But now the CPU you do not have to round off. From the calculator that you get, terus times dengan 875, so you get 16170.180, and then you total up. Okay, 2 decimal places here. Okay, CWIP, as usual, refer to the quantity from statement of equivalent production 225 times 22.5, so you get 5062.5. Okay, labor and overhead for CWIP 112.5 times 18.48, around 2079.2. Okay, total up 7141.70. So this is 2 decimal places. So when you want to put in your process accounts, you can round off to 2 decimal places, or you can take nearest ringgit, 0 decimal places. If you put 0 decimal places, that means 35858. So 35858. Okay, you put it here. Okay, so for CWIP, you may round off to 0 decimal places, 7141.7, so 71442. Okay, 71442. Okay, so now you total up the amount column. Okay, debit, you get 43,000. And credit also, you should get the same amount, 43,000. So 35858, 37142, you get 43,000. So balance debit and credit for the amount column. Okay, so this is weighted average method. Okay, the basic that you should know under weighted average method, the CPU is average. Average method. Why we call it average? Because we take the last period cost plus with the current cost to get the total cost, and then divide by unit to get the average CPU. Okay, from this average CPU, then we get the value here. Okay, so that means we calculate the value of finished goods and CWIP based on the average cost per unit. Okay, so this is a weighted average method.